Hey Hofstra fans, welcome inside this week's edition of the W. Mason Coach Report here on GoHofstra.com. I'm Tom Brady with the pleasure to be joined by the head coach of the Hushpad Wrestling team, Rob Ansbach. Coach, thanks for the time.
Thank you.
Now, Coach, a big week for your team last week. 2 matches against teams who were receiving votes or have been in the top 25 this week in Rutgers and Penn, and you wind up coming away with a pair of victories. What did you see from those 2 matches?
Yeah, I thought our guys really wrestled well. Friday and Sunday, especially Friday night, they went out there and were really aggressive and wrestled hard throughout the entire match, 7 minutes or however long the match was, and they did an outstanding job, really wrestling in their positions and controlling the pace. And I was really proud of them that day. And then to come back turn around and come back and do it again on Sunday. We just had a light practice on Saturday, and then you're back on the mat on Sunday again and wrestle a good UPenn team. And I can't say enough about how they've been performing, and each and every time they get on the mat, it seems like they do a little bit better, and that's what we want as a staff. Every time we get out there, we improve, and we've seen that, and it's been steady throughout the year, and perfect time, too, right for the end of the year.
Now, looking at your team, 125, Steve Bonanno, another successful week, 2-0, but maybe you got Luke Veit, 2-0, including a huge win over a ranked wrestler for Penn that really turned out to be a huge point in the match for your team.
Yeah, Luke had a great weekend. Start off with the Rutgers match. The kid, we went in there, the kid was pretty good. He was ranked like 19th, 18th or 19th by Intermat. Going into the match, a quality kid, and to start off, we couldn't have started off any worse than we did. We were down 5-0 after the first period, but he didn't get rattled. He just stayed with the game plan, which was wrestling hard, and he was able to start getting takedowns in the second and third period and turn the guy for the win. And then to follow that up against returning All-American and Zach Kemmer, who's very good. He was ranked 7th or 8th going into that match, and he just stayed with the game plan. And really, the score was close. It was 2-1 in overtime, but we had all the scoring opportunities. I don't think Kemmer was really ever close to scoring. Didn't do a whole lot. We kind of frustrated him, shut him down. So he had a great weekend. And Steve, just continuing to do what he does, rolling through. I think he had an attack and a major decision or attack and a pretty substantial win. So just another weekend for Steve.
And after that, the team really started rolling 149, 157, and 165, 2-0. Everybody went 2-0 for the whole weekend. So for a guy like PJ Gillespie getting a win over a ranked wrestler, kind of getting him back on track, and for a guy like Tyler Banks, who you said you were looking to get a little bit more out of a nice 2-0 week for him.
Yeah, I think start off at 149 pounds. Justin did a great job this weekend. Going out there, he was excited to wrestle Mario Mason, who ended up not wrestling because of an injury, but he didn't let that ruin his composure. He just went out there and took care of business. And then on Sunday, he was wrestling a tight match and hit a cement mixer for the fall, which was is always huge points when you can get a pin in. So he did a great job. Tyler was exactly what we were looking for from him. He opened up his offense. He was in on some leg attacks. He wrestled. He always wrestles well on top. It's just getting him wrestling on his feet, and he started doing that this weekend. He scored a couple takedowns, so that's always nice when he starts scoring those from the neutral position. And PJ's, he did a really nice job. Very controlled 2-0 win over Scott Winston, who is a guy who's always been in the round of 12 or ranked top 10 and stuff like that. He's just a quality wrestler, and we really controlled the match. We dominated from start to finish. We rode him for 2 minutes. We were able to get away from him. I would like to see him score a little bit more from his feet, but when you're in such control, he never felt like there was any chance that kid could beat him. And it was just a complete controlled 2-0 win. The match against UPenn, I would like to see him open up a little bit more. We were in on a lot of leg attacks. Didn't get any finishes, so that's a little bit of concern. We'll work on that this week. He's got a tough match coming up this week against the kid from Cornell. So we need to be a little bit more solid. If we get to somebody's legs, we got to score takedowns off of it, and we didn't do that the other day. So it was that would be the one thing out of the whole weekend from PJ's standpoint that I say, this is what we need to work on.
A couple of wrestlers going 1-on-1, Jamie Franco, as well as Paul Snyder. And for Franco, it looked like he almost had a chance to go 2-0 and doing it against a ranked wrestler, but he wound up losing in a close match.
Yeah, the Friday night match, was a crazy match. The kid was very funky, a lot of scrambles. I think they got into about a minute scramble at one point in time. And Jamie ended up with a takedown, but time just ran out. But what it did was it just set the pace for the whole match. That he was going to wrestle through every single position. He wasn't going to give anything up. And that's how we got the takedown at the end of the match to seal the match against Lango, who's a quality kid from Rutgers, really good kid. And then Hortenzio. We had wrestled Hortenzio earlier in the year up at the Binghamton Open, and he beat us probably about 6 or 7 to 1. So going into the match, we wanted to see what our progression was. And obviously, you know, we had a chance to win it. It was a 3-2 match. We were right there. We just needed Jamie to open up a little bit more. He allowed himself to get tied up too much in the match, and just not able to get to his offense because of it. And we need him to just be able to go out there and score from the outside and push the pace a little bit more. So I think he learned a lot from that match. Again, you know, anytime you step on there, you got beat earlier in the year, there's that little bit of doubt. But I think coming off the mat now, he's pretty confident that, you know what, I should have won that match.
Her guys going 0-2 for your team, Jermaine John and Tim Murphy. A couple of tough losses, and Jermaine in a couple of close matches as well. But you know, what is it going to take to get a little bit more out of some of those guys?
Yeah, they just got to keep they got to keep buying into the system of going out there, shooting, and trying to score some points to get to win matches. I think Jermaine in the first match, you know, he got pinned for a neutral fall. But what I told him was like, why is the guy all over your legs? You know, he took you down twice, and he was in on the third attempt in the first period, and we didn't have any. So we're not going to win matches if we don't go out there and be aggressive. And I thought the same thing on Sunday. We let that kid dictate the pace. He got to our legs, got a takedown, and then was able to ride us pretty hard. And that was really the only scoring in the match. And if you're not going to take any chances, if you're not going to take any risks, you're going to lose a lot. And the same thing goes with Tim as well. You know, he's in positions where he could score, but you can see he moves the guy, but he doesn't believe he should score, so he's not in position to get the points. And that's the biggest thing. These guys got to have confidence in themselves. They got to believe in themselves a little bit more, that they can go out there and score points in these matches. You know, Tim wrestled 2 guys that are ranked in the country. They're pretty good guys. He fought hard, but he needs that belief to go out there and win these matches.
For your team, improving to 10-0 on the year, best start by first-year head coach in the program history. What does that mean to you to be able to just kind of step in, be a seamless transition, and help guide your team to such a great start?
Well, you know, it's great that we're winning dual meets and stuff like that. Whether it's 10 or 5, you know, whatever it is, isn't really that important. It's just the most important thing is that every time we step on the mat, we seem to be a little bit better. And you know, we've been getting a lot of the fans coming up and saying, hey, you guys look really good, they look in shape, they're being aggressive. So that to me is more important than, you know, obviously it's great to win all these matches, but I always talk to them about there's a certain way we want to win matches. We don't want to win 3-2, we don't want to win 2-1, stuff like that. We want to go out there and we want to control, and we want to try and dominate. So seeing that is more important to me than getting wins. But I also think if you wrestle that way, the wins just come. So it's just the way to go. As far as, you know, starting out as the first year and things like that, I guess it's great, but it's more important that the team's wrestling well, and as we're coming towards the end of the year, it seems like we're wrestling our best.
Going to need to be wrestling your best. Big match this week against a team in Cornell, ranked 4th in the nation, 8-0, 5 or 6 guys in the rankings, 2 number 1s. You know, what do you see when you look at this Cornell team?
Well, it's a team that we've seen quite a bit in different tournaments, the Bearcat in Las Vegas. So we've wrestled them enough times, and over the years we always seem to be wrestling them 2 or 3 times. We also saw them at the Southern Scuffle. So it's a match when you look at on paper, you know, they're pretty heavy favorites. But if you actually look at the matchups, it's going to be a great match. I mean, there's no reason why we can't win it 125 or 133. All the way through the lineup. Yeah, they have Kyle Dake at 157 pounds. He's the number 1 guy in the country, and they got, you know, 2-time defending national champion. And they got Samaz at 197, who's also ranked first and kind of steamrolling his way through the competition. And those are going to be tall orders for our guys to win those matches, but they can do it. They got to have confidence. They got to believe in themselves to go out there and do it. But as far as the other matches, they're so close every time we wrestle them. It's a point here, it's a point there. You know, it's a belief system. I think I'm seeing them believing in themselves more and more, especially from that first weekend up in Binghamton back in November. So I'm excited about this. I think this is a great opportunity for our guys to go out there and seize the moment and seize an opportunity to knock off a very good team and really give themselves confidence heading into the conference and the national tournament.
Now, on that day, team's also going to be wrestling against Columbia. How is that going to help your guys being able to maybe get out there, see them? You mentioned you've already seen them a few times, and just, you know, kind of get an early feel for what some of those guys are going to be up to.
Yeah, I mean, it helps. We can go out there and watch their guys wrestle and things like that. I think the thing that might help the most is the weigh-in being 2 hours earlier and stuff like that, as opposed to a 1 hour weigh-in. We'll basically have a 3 hour weigh-in. So that definitely helps us out to sit there and get replenished and feel really good when we step out there. Kind of the negatives to it is that they have I don't want to say it's a warm-up match, but they have a match under their belt, so they're nice and warm and ready to go. So, there's good and there's bad to be in that second match. But what we need to do is we can't worry too much about what they're going to do, and we got to go out there and wrestle our style and wrestle our pace. And I just really think it should be a great dual meet, and I look forward to it. And I'm going to come back and expect to win.
Last year, a team wasn't able to get a point against them here at home. How much is that going to be on the mind of some of your returning guys who are just going to want to go out there and kind of make a statement?
Well, it might be on the mind of some of them, but again, I think if you want to be successful in this sport, you got to have a pretty short memory. Whether you beat somebody or you lost to them, just because you beat them the time before doesn't guarantee you anything this time out there. Just because you lost to them the time before doesn't guarantee anything. You got to have that confidence when you step on the mat. Sure, it makes it a little bit more difficult. There might be a little bit more doubt than usual because you had lost to them last year, but this is a different team. It's different guys. We have quite a few different guys in the lineup, but like I said, we're wrestling a lot better now than we were in the beginning of the year. We're wrestling a lot better now than we did last year when we were wrestling. But if we go out there and we're not confident and we kind of sit back, they're going to do the same thing to us. I mean, they're capable of shutting us out if we don't go out there and compete well, and that's something that we got to understand. But I don't think you worry about getting shut out. As far as a team, you can only control your match. Steve Pedano can only control what he does, and Ben Clymer can only control what he does out there. So they can't worry about the rest of the team. They got to make themselves prepared and go out there and do what they can do to help the team out.
All right, Rob Bonsbach, head coach of the Hodgepod Wrestling Team. Thanks for joining us inside this week's edition of W. Mason Coach Report here on GoHodge.com.
Thank you.